Hello, welcome, the Work in Progress podcast. Today is the 2nd of August. Summer is out the door. Hope you had an amazing season and hope you're ready for some cold and some winter activities. It's going to be like my second winter out here, so it's going to be a challenge to, my message to find something to do with this body, but it seems to be snowboarding so far. We'll see. Um, Today comes after, I don't know, 3, 4 weeks of not posting anything, and I think that's part of the message. That's part of what I would like to talk about today. Life has a way of catching up on us. And to that point, I want to quote one of the one of the most successful actors that I've ever seen in my life, Denzel Washington. He always talks about how the devil visits you when you're about to make it, when you're about to have a big break. So it's worth noting, it's worth mentioning that when you're doing good, you're doing well, you're on your way to greatness, to success, that's when life starts hitting you with challenges. Now, there is a lot of ways you can look at that. There's a lot of ways you can perceive that. Um, but one thing for sure, and one thing that I have experienced over and over again, is that it's always for good. And that's the key message that I wanted to talk about today because in the moment, we tend to lose focus of where we want to be, and we get lost in the current moment. And I know that, um, you know, it's easy to talk about it now that I have somehow a clear mind today, but it's an experience that I think is worth sharing and is worth um, walking with you guys. Um, Life has a way of derailing you. The devil has a way of visiting you when you're on the right path. Um, and so, what I would like to say today is that it gets better. Um, and we really need to learn how to escape the moment, how to get away from what it is that is what it is we're facing now, and really shift the focus to our goals and where we want to be, and keep the faith, right? Like I don't mean keep the faith in a religious kind of way, although if that's your game, then I'm happy to join you on that. But keep the faith in the sense that what is happening today is part of the product, right? It's part of the equation, it's part of the process. Um, Trust the process. Keep in mind that when you send an idea out into the world, into the universe, there is no doubt in my mind that it is perceived as an order, right? Like you're at a restaurant and you want to have something to eat, and that's what you do. You just mention it, you speak it out. And when you do that, that idea, that thing you want, manifests itself somewhere out there in the time space continuum. And then it is trying to approach you from where it has manifested. It's trying to find its way to you at the same time that you're trying to find your way to it. So during that process, and same analogy, restaurant, like it takes heat and pressure and a lot of cutting and chopping and tears and everything to really cook something nice, right? And us being on the right track doesn't mean that there will be no challenges. That's the key message that I'm more than everything telling myself, because I have been guilty of losing vision when the challenge gets really tough. Like people talk about losing motivation and losing the will and the ability to go back to the gym, or falling off the wagon, and there's no wagon, right? Like you did not just subscribe to something and now that something is gone. That perception needs to change. It's a process. You're in the process of changing from good to good to good to better to your destiny, right? And whatever it is you're doing today is that you're manifesting the ideas and you're living the ideas that you put into motion um, as time is moving on. So the key message here is that there's no wagon. It's just that you are going through the process of transforming, right? And the main goal here is to achieve fulfillment, right? We all want to be fulfilled. And that comes in many ways and forms, but the main message, the main idea is it'll get challenging. Stick to it. Trust the process. Um, Keep in mind that it's not going to be easy. It's not supposed to be easy, but it's meant to be enlightening and enriching, and it's meant to be worth living. And that's something that I have lived through personally, and something that I'm taking the time today to remind myself and remind all of you of, is that um, there comes a time where you think that everything has fallen apart. But I promise you, it comes back together eventually. I promise you that whatever it is you're going through today, it's just like a broken piece of equipment that is being taken apart so that it is put together again in a beautiful, beautiful, productive, successful, fulfilled manner. Um, I'm seeing, I don't know if it's the shift of seasons or if it's something else. I'm seeing a lot of people go through a challenging time these days. Um, Trust the process, trust yourself that when you made the choice to change something to the better, that is the right choice. That's where you want to be. Um, that's the vision, right? And throughout achieving that vision, you have to go through the process of transformation. So it doesn't matter what everybody else says, right? People will be going through their own experiences. They will be trying to express their own perception of their own experience. So you do not need to internalize the messages that you receive from everybody else. That is key. Stick to your own process. Um, Everybody else in the world are just players in your game, including myself. I am a player in your game. I am a message that is being sent to you today by the universe. I don't know why. And I don't think of myself as a messenger. I don't think of myself as somebody who is necessarily important, but the universe has to find a way to communicate, right? And the message that I have learned this week, that I'm still learning every day, I do not claim to have any form of wisdom that nobody else has, but we are being cooked. We are being prepared for the image that we hold in ourselves about ourselves. So that is the one thing you have to always keep improving, right? Your perception of yourself is the only thing you need to be always working on. Because through that, you start thinking about, oh, if I think of myself as this successful person, fulfilled person, then what would that person do? And if I'm that successful and fulfilled person, doesn't that mean that everything happening around me is just playing a role in that greatness? And if you really think that, and if you really believe that, and that is a challenge to myself before it is a challenge to anybody else, we need to keep the faith. I need to keep the faith. We need to always think of ourselves as the absolute source of freedom, as the absolute source of fulfillment to ourselves. So I guess this past few weeks have been, although I've been doing a lot of cool things and getting out there in the world and experiencing a lot of things, that came with its own challenge. The challenge that you might not be good enough, the challenge that it might be too late. All of these ideas are not yours. They're just the challenges. It's just the universe saying, well, hey, if you think you're such a cool guy and if you think you're this successful person, how would you perform? What would you do if I presented you with a challenge that would make you feel less adequate, less competent? And at that moment in time, if you fail, it's not that you fail some kind of test. The problem is when you fail, the perception you have of yourself shifts a little. And when that perception shifts a little, the actions that happen to you tend to derail from the path that you were originally on to greatness. So remind yourself every day why you're doing what you're doing, why you deserve it, why you have this amazing vision of yourself. And through that vision and through that belief, even if it's fake, just believe in yourself, believe in the image that you hold about yourself, about what you deserve, and just go out there in the world and experience the challenges. It's not going to come easy. It's not going to come on a silver platter. It'll come with challenges, and it will come with a lot of experiences, some of which you will think are negative, but they're not. I don't want this to drag any longer than this, but it is the key message that I wanted to share with everybody today. And it comes with a promise that I will do better at sharing these messages. I'll stick to the schedule this time, and feel free to reach out to me if you think you're derailing. And I'm not a therapist. I'm not gonna tell you what to do, but what we can do is, and you don't have to do it with me. You can do it with yourself. You can do it with a trusted friend or a partner. You can remind yourself of who you are and who you really think you are. And if that image needs to be shifted a little way into a positive realm, then that's what you need to do, because that's when your brain and your energy and your connection to the universe will shift back to putting you on the path to achieving what it is you want to achieve. Um, I hope this was a positive message to everybody. And if you think it is, like this episode, share it with somebody you think is falling apart. And maybe, just maybe, someday me or you or somebody will be able to change somebody else's life to the better. This has been an amazing break to me, and an amazing experience. And thank you all for listening, and thank you to everybody who's been loyal to my channel and my podcast and the blog and thewhiplife.com. And this is me promising to get back on track. Thank you guys.